welcome back to another Texas Top Shelf Reptiles. This is Chad, and as you know, this is Savannah. Today we are here with Diesel and Diva, our two Argentine and Paraguayan tegus. Diesel is a almost 7-month-old high black and white tegu from Rose City Reptiles, and this is his little girlfriend Diva. She is a 5-month-old red Paraguayan from Rose City Reptiles. I did some unboxing videos with them. If you want to check those out, you're more than welcome to. The link, I'll have them in the description below. But today we're going to go over Brumation and what it is in the first year, what to expect, some signs, and some questions that are often commonly asked between these two. And as you can see, they're a little clumsy from time to time, but this is their first video since their unboxing videos, so we should have fun. With them. Alright, so first off, what is Brumation and how do we know what to look for and what to expect during Brumation? Brumation is a equivalent to a mammalization hibernation stage. It is what the tegus do during the wintertime to regulate their body temperature enough to make it through the cold weather. They will bury themselves anywhere from 2 feet to 4 feet deep down into the soil, and that helps to regulate their body temperature, keeps them a solid temperature throughout the winter seasons to escape that cold weather and also the lack and scarcity of food that they have at that particular time. Depending on where they are at, and we'll go over this in a little bit, but out in the wild they tend to brumate for around 3 to 4 months, just depending on how long the cold weather lasts. And that is not a requirement that has to be done if you're not planning on breeding your tegus, if you're just having them as pets. But if you are planning on breeding them in the future, you definitely want them to go through a brumation. Hey, you can't jump off the table again. Okay. Alright, so now that we've gone over that and we know kind of what actual brumation is with them, let us take a look at, is my baby fixing to go into brumation, or are they going to stay up? So let's take a look at. Okay, first off, let's talk about some behaviors in some young tegus and what they might actually exhibit when you first get them, because they have a tendency of, when they're definitely depending on when they were born, of you getting them and quite possibly them going into brumation within the first month or so of you having them. It really depends on where you live, the barometric pressure, the temperatures, and stuff like that, how you're housing them, your lighting cycle. It has a lot to do with it. We'll go over that here pretty quick, but some young behavioral traits with the tegus is that when you first get them, they have a tendency of not wanting to eat, and they also have a tendency of hiding for up to a week, at a time without really coming out. And some people get pretty discouraged about this. You will see a lot of questions about that. We'll go over that here a little bit later on in our commonly asked questions. But just think of it as a new puppy. When you got a new puppy or a kitten, they have a lot of energy, but they're pretty wary of the place that they are actually living in and where they're going. And they check out all their new environments. They find out their little hiding places. You might be able to find them hiding someplace. They'll play for a little bit, but most of the time they sleep. And they sleep because they're just growing so much. And I haven't seen anything that quite grows as fast as one of these tegus do from the size that we got them. If you go back and watch the unboxing videos, these things were just this long, like 6 to 8 inches long when we first got them. Now they're 7 and 5 months old, and Diesel's pushing 4 feet, and Diva is all of 3 feet now. So I don't think he'll jump, baby. It's okay. I think he's smarter than that, maybe, hopefully. But so they have a tendency of hiding a lot when you first get them, and a lot of people will mistake this for brumation. Are they going into brumation? Do I need to feed them? Yada yada yada. This is just them acclimated with the fact that they are in a new environment. where's their food coming from, when is their food going to come. So the main thing is to be consistent at this time and be patient. Keep giving them the food around the same time every day. Keep giving them the same amount of light. Keep the light cycles on normal for them. Interact inside of the tank and such like this, and they will start coming out. When they know that there's food out there, they'll come out. But they're growing incredibly amount. So they're going to eat. They might hang out and they might hide or bask for a little bit to get that food digested, and then they'll go right to hiding, and then they'll sleep. This one, she slept for 3 days sometimes at a time before she would come back out and eat again. But she'd come back out, she'd be active, and I was wondering the same thing, is this Brumation? So I wouldn't feed her, and then she would let me know that she was hungry. She would start tearing up the enclosure, digging, doing everything she could to find some food. And so I figured out rather quickly that that's what she was wanting, was food. So they do have a tendency of hiding a lot and also not eating. They'll have a tendency of not wanting to eat for several days, maybe even a week. These animals can go an incredible amount of time without food intake. So if they're sleeping or into a brumation period of time, they will go days, weeks, months without eating. So they'll be okay with that. I know, Diesel. I know. You don't like being on this table. Apparently, I'm going to be used as a personal climbing pole. Look, I got this nice stick for you right here to climb on. Yeah, I got you this nice stick to climb on. Yeah, he just wants to climb on me. But that is some of the situations that you might get into when you're first getting a baby tegu and you're wondering if they're going to, or if they are already in brumation. You just got them. Most likely, it's not going to happen till the temperatures really start dropping a little bit outside, and the light cycle changes. You know, when we're going from the long summer days into the shorter winter nights. That's usually when you'll start seeing them go into brumation. All right, so now, as we've gone over some of the behaviors, let's start going over some of the common asked questions about what to expect and when to expect when they do start going down. Now that we've gone over some of the behaviors, what brumation is, are they going into brumation when they're only sleeping, a couple of days and they're coming back out? Do we feed them? Those are all the questions that we're going to go over right now. So on to the next.
Remember this cage?
Okay. So, first question. When does it usually start so I know when to hold food back? I would say anywhere from late September, October definitely, November usually for sure, into April, March is kind of the latest that you'll see. Like I said, they can brumate up to 7 months, so it really depends on your area. How you're environmenting. Are they staying outside? Do you have a heat box outside for them that they're staying in? Are they staying inside? Are you turning lights off? These all have to do into factors with this, but normally that's around what time that they're going to start slowing down, getting themselves ready. They'll be sleeping more. They'll be a lot less active moving around. They'll be lazy. You'll put food in there, they won't want to eat. So some of these kind of things. Okay, how long will this last? As I just said, 1 to 7 months. It all depends on your environment. There's definitely some different ways that people look at brumating their tegus, especially if you're a breeder and you're breeding your tegus. You definitely want them to go down for a long brumation. So it really depends on, are you keeping them inside? Are you keeping them outside? That's two of the biggest factors with that. But anywhere from about 1 to 7 months is how long that tegu brumation will last. Yeah, that's real good, buddy. Yeah. He's like, no, I just want to climb up and get back in my cage. Hey, baby girl. All right. When do I stop feeding? Okay, couple questions. Are they outside? Are they inside? Have you noticed them slowing down, sleeping more, not eating as much? These are all signs that your tegu is getting ready to go down. So if they're outside, you know that when the light is getting shorter, when the nights are getting shorter, when it's cooling off out at nighttime, they're going to start slowing down. They're thermal regulated by the sun. So that particular time is when you really want to start looking for it. You'll notice it in their behaviors and stuff. you'll notice you put out the same amount of food that you've put out before, and they only eat half of it. Or they might come over to it several different times a day and smell it and not really want to eat it, and then finally decide later on that they're going to eat it, a little bit of it during the day. So these are different times that you want to do it. I know. He just wants to crawl on Daddy, huh? Yeah, he really just wants to use me to get back into his enclosure over here. Okay. All right. So this is the next one. That's kind of 3 questions into one, and this is if you were in an enclosure inside the house. Right. Oh, I got you. Are you gonna go up there? Okay. Apparently he's gonna climb up there for a little bit, so we're gonna let him go explore up there. All right. Do I leave the lights on during brumation? So if my tegu has gone down during brumation, do I go ahead and turn the lights off? That's a question up to you. They have a tendency of coming out from time to time and basking, getting some water, getting some heat for a little bit, and then going back down to brumation. If it's something where you're worried about the light bill or different things like that, I would say go ahead and turn it off. They'll end up coming out, you'll notice them being out. Or if you're home all day, that's the easiest one, because then you can just notice when they're coming out, turn the lights back on. But that's one that's up to you. It's a debatable one. I seem to think of why have the lights on if they are brumating. Let me see what he's doing up there. Oh, he's just gonna walk around like a cat. And so that's one of those deals. I don't think I would have the lights on if I was just if they were already brumating. They'd been down for several weeks. I would put the lights on whenever I saw them start to come back out. Do I leave water out? This one is a no-brainer. Yes, 100% help with the humidity level in there, even if the lights are on or off. If they tend to come out, that's what you will want to offer them is water. And you want them, when they do wake up, first thing you want to give them is water. They'll go over there and drink tons of water, most likely. It's getting a little hectic in here, so if I'm moving around a little bit, it's because I've got animals going everywhere. So we're trying to get this video done. So welcome to Texas Top Shelf Reptiles. And third is humidity. Do I leave the humidity up? Well, if you think about the natural environment, whenever it starts getting colder outside, the humidity starts to drop. So that would be something that I would think about. I wouldn't just continue to keep misting and watering the enclosure. I'd just let it kind of do its thing. The lights aren't going to be on, and so it is going to be self-regulating itself as much as it is. They'll stay water in there, so it's not drying out as much as it. Come here, Diesel. Come here, buddy. Okay, so I would leave the humidity, just don't worry about putting extra humidity in there. Just let it do its thing for the time until they wake back up, then increase the humidity back up for them. You don't want them to be sitting in a lot of moisture and stuff while they are trying to sleep out. So that is definitely a question if you are in an enclosure versus outside. Outside, don't think you can turn the lights off. Just a thought process. If they come out, do I feed them? This is a different question too. Mine, I thought were going down. They were slowing down a little bit on their food. They weren't eating as much. They weren't moving around as much. But it only lasted a couple weeks, and so I was slowing their food down. I was kind of getting ready for a brumation, and then they just started eating everything that I started putting back in there, and started doing their own thing where they come out, they bask. They're not super active, but if you let them go, they are definitely in move stage right now. So they're exploring, they're doing things. They'll bask, they'll walk around the house, they'll go into, so they're definitely not into a brumation stage. I would not feed them when they first came out. I'd give them about maybe a week, depending on how old they are, how big they've gotten. You see some tegus that'll go in brumation when they're a month or two old, and they're pretty small, and so they don't really grow that much, and so they're probably going to come out rip-roaring, ready to eat and stuff like that. So I'd give them water for a couple days, make sure that they're not going back into a brumation, and then start pounding them with food, because they will grow pretty quick after they come out of brumation. Do I wake my tegu up if they have eaten? If they've eaten and you haven't noticed them poop,
No.
then I would 100% wake them up. Wake them up, give them a warm bath, keep them basking, maybe take their hide out or something for a day or so until they actually, till you notice them poop, and continually do this for a couple days. And if you keep waking them up, giving them warm baths, they'll end up going ahead and defecating out that, getting out what you do not want that sitting in their stomach where they're in brumation. It can lead into death, and so that is definitely something that you do not want to happen. If they're eaten, then that's why you hear must take their food up, must slow down on their feedings and stuff, because you just don't want them to go to sleep with food in their stomach. My tegu is so small, will they make it through brumation? Okay, yes, these animals are extremely resilient, and most likely if you have a little baby tegu, it might brumate for a little bit, but it's not going to brumate for the whole 7 months. There's a chance that they could, but most likely not. But they will make it. It's one of those things where you can check on them a couple times when they're in brumation, and if you've noticed that the base of their tail right here is starting to get thinner, or you start seeing some hip bones, or if you see any actual weight loss or anything like that, then I would definitely look at try and maybe waking them up. Easy. Don't scare a baby. Okay. So yes, I would definitely wake my tegu up if they've eaten. Will they grow in brumation, and will it stunt their growth? No, most likely they're not going to grow in brumation. They don't have any food in their stomach. They do have nutrients stored in their tail right here, which they might grow a little bit, but most likely not. They're going to come out, they're going to have a deep brumation shed on them that there's going to, as soon as they come out, they're going to start eating. No, it will not stunt them. You'll think it is because you'll see that your tegu is 6-7 months old now at this particular time, and you're comparing it to other 6 or 7 month old tegus that, yes you do, that haven't brumated, like this. This is a 7-month-old tegu. If I was to compare this to a 2-month-old tegu that went down for brumation for 4 months, it wouldn't be comparison. They wouldn't even be close into the size. But doesn't mean that your tegu is not going to grow to full size, 4.5 feet or so. It just means that they got a little bit of a behind start, and they'll be just fine pretty shortly. And you'll be surprised, because if they went down when they were at 2 months, you didn't really get to see that enormous growth that they have. And so you'll get to see that as soon as they come out. They'll start eating you out of house and home. Alright, when they wake up, when do I feed them? Okay, so I kind of briefed on this just a little bit earlier. So what I would do is I would wait for about a week when they get up. If they haven't told you in a week that they're ready to eat, go ahead and eat. But most likely, after being up for a couple of days, only having water, and they're probably going to start looking, digging, processing for food and stuff like that. If they're a little bit bigger, than like this guy, or full grown, and they go into brumation, most likely it's going to take them a couple days to get up before they actually have the energy and the heat and the thermal regulation and everything to start eating. But most likely it'll be a day or so before you can offer food. Like I said, I wouldn't for the first 3 days at least. Let them make sure that they're up, that they're not just coming out to bask for a little bit and get some rays.
Wash my phone.
Okay, baby, go wash your phone. And make sure they're up for a couple days, and then before you offer them food, that way they don't have to go down and or go back down, and you don't have to worry about that. Okay, Diesel. Easy, buddy. There we go. This is a rodeo. Woo! Okay, they're actually being pretty good. Diva here, whenever she was in her smaller enclosure, tail whipped, hissed, huffed, puffed, wouldn't let me run around the cage. Ever since she's gotten into the grow out cage here, until we moved to our new house, she's gotten enormously bigger. She has gotten extremely much more tame. She lets me pull her out, she lets me pet her and stuff like that. In these situations, she's okay. Quick movements and stuff, she's still a little bit iffy of. and she's definitely more used to me than any of the other family members, but we're still working on her patience and process consistency. Now let's go over some of the common brumation keeping techniques that, we've gone over a lot of the questions that we've asked, or get asked. I see on different forums, I see people ask in the questions of different videos and such like that. So I think we've kind of gone over those. If you missed any, go ahead and put some comments down below. We'll use this spreadsheet. Like, subscribe, suggest any videos that you'd like to see in the future. We try and go over that. We'll do some research on it, and we'll go from there. But now let's do some common brumation keeping guides. How different people keep some of their tegus during brewmaking. So some people will take them completely out of their enclosures for brumation, and that's completely fine. To each his own. Everybody's situation is different of how they want to do this with their animals. It really is how it works out best for you. This is not my favorite technique. I figure if they're going to brumate, they're in the enclosure, might as well leave them in there. There's no reason to take them out. But some people do house theirs outside almost all year around. When we move to our new house here shortly, we will be moving them outside. They will have a large outdoor enclosure, and so this might be a technique that I pick up in the future. But some people will put them into totes with some straw, hay, put a mixture in there, and then they will just close the tote up, put some bent holes in it, and put it in underneath the bed or in a closet, in a cold closet, nice dark area, so there's not a lot of noise and movement and such like that. That's definitely a way to do it. You want to put them in a place so you can at least hear them if they do start waking up, so you can hear them start scratching on the side of the bins and stuff like that. There's a bunch of people, Rose City Reptiles, that's how he does his. He's gonna jump again. Good jump that time. That was a good jump, I'll give him that. Okay, he does that with his bins, which segues into the next one, is putting them into a cold room. So Joey over at Rose City Reptiles, he takes all of his 50 plus tegus, puts them in different totes, puts them in a cold room in his attic, and then turns the AC on and gets it down to like 65, 60 degrees in there, and lets them stay in there and brumate throughout the entirety of their brumation. When it starts warming up outside, he'll go inside and start pulling out cans or pulling out totes and getting ready for the next season. Next one is lights off. Just lights off in the enclosure. This is one that I think I will do if they are in an enclosure and they aren't, and they are brumating. I don't think I would take them out and put them into a different room. I'll just leave them in their enclosure, turn the lights off, turn the UVB light off, and just let it be. It stays around at nighttime. It gets down to about 72, 73 degrees in their enclosure. That's completely normal, fine for them. They could even go colder, no problem. So lights off, definitely a way to look if you have them in an enclosure and they've gone down for break. And then normal conditions. Normal conditions are just like you have it on your normal light cycle. Some people, even whenever the nights start going down, they'll do like 8 hours worth of light cycle instead of like the 12 hours worth of light cycle. Start backing it down. Experienced keepers kind of do this with their animals when they're trying to get them to brumate, is they'll start lowering the light and the heat structure, and so it's longer nights, shorter days, which will convince them to go into a brumation. So that would be a normal condition situation for them. Now let's look at some different types of brumation that I've noticed with some young tegus. No brumation. These two right here, no brumation at all. They slowed down very, very little for a couple of days, but that was about it. It was 20, 30 degrees out a week and a half ago, and they didn't miss a beat. They kept on rocking. Diva, you gonna find your way down now? Go with me. They just kept on rocking, eating like crazy, doing their things, and so I didn't get to personally experience the brumation side of these guys this year. I'm sure next year there will be a different video about adult brumation and what to expect, but as of right now, no brumation for them. Light brumation. This happens a lot where you'll see them where they'll go down for a couple days, then they'll get up, they'll bask, they'll go down for a couple days, they'll get up, they'll bask. This happens more often than the no brumation does, from what I've noticed. Now, semi-brumation. Semi-brumation would be that they're down for a month or two. They come out for a day every once in a while, get some water, but for months they're into a brumation. No food, maybe no water, just some sunlight here and there, and they're out. You might not see them for a month. Then they might come up for a day. You're like, hey, there he is, and then they're back down for weeks and months at a time. So that would be a semi-full brumation. And then obviously full brumation, they start slowing down a couple weeks ahead of time. You start lowering their food down. You stop their food about a couple days beforehand, and then they will automatically go, oh, I'm not getting any more food. It's getting colder outside. I'm going to go to sleep. So that would be a full brumation. All right. So going crazy on the table and up here and chasing a cat off, and my other bearded dragon over here going crazy running around because there's two big lizards on this table running around. We will see you next time. Like I said, like, subscribe, share. You leave any kind of comments down below. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you will get any of our updated and new content. But for next time, we will see you on the flip side.